fun. And if you like that and you think that's fun, then that's great. I don't know if you're being realistic with yourself. So what's your favorite COD Zombies map? Okay, now why is it your favorite COD Zombies map? It's easy to realize that that appeal is there for us personally, but how do you define if you find something to be better than something else? As I make these YouTube videos, I found myself initially defining the criteria to what made a great map so I could have a best map of all time list. But I found myself creating it in the end to define just what it is about maps that we like. This is about 3 years of making zombies content at this point, and this is where I landed in terms of what makes a good map good. And this could also be applied in reverse to what makes a bad map bad. So overall experience. And that feeds into aesthetic quality of the map, the overall storyline, the character interaction. What characters are they? Are you invested in the characters? And are you invested in the story? What does the map look like? Is it a nice looking map? Is it something like a DE? Is it a Gord Crovey where it's pretty dystopian, but it still has that aesthetic quality? It's still intriguing to look at. Or is it drab? Is it one of these older maps that really doesn't have much to it? Doesn't have much substance in terms of aesthetic quality. With that character interaction, it feeds into, do you care about the characters? So these ether characters, the character interaction, it was funny dialogue, it was funny lines between them. Even with the Victus characters, there was interesting dialogue between. Where this starts to fall off is with Black Ops Cold War, where it's dialogue in a vacuum. It's not dialogue directed at another Primus or Ultimus or Victus character. It is just dialogue for the sake of dialogue. Overall storyline. Where does this map fit in a larger story? Because that gives you a reason to care about it. When it's the chase scene with the mech in DE, that's intriguing. That, I guess, the overall aesthetics of that scene itself draws you in. It ends up being something that you care about as you're launching into that map. Whether or not something has an Easter egg, like it or not, is something that we use to determine whether or not a map is good. A map can meet the majority of these criteria and not have an Easter egg and still be a great map. But I think if you want to talk about what is the greatest of all time, then you have to have not only an Easter egg, but a good Easter egg. A good Easter egg, to me, is something that's not too hard, but it's not something that's too easy. It's not an oversimplified Easter egg that we got from some of these earlier games, and it's not something that's long and drawn out like we saw with some of these Black Ops 4 Easter eggs, which were just ridiculous and silly and over the top. One of the major intriguing factors for me back in the Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 3 days were, could I do this Easter egg by myself? Not only was I capable of doing it, but was it possible? Black Ops 3 Shadows of Evil initially launched. We didn't know how to make it past the Shadowman boss fight solo. So to me, that felt like a kick in the nuts because I couldn't pursue that goal of a solo Easter egg. Does the Easter egg itself fit in the context of the story? Is there something cool you can unlock? Is there map-specific items? Does it fit in? Is it interesting? That feeds into my next point, is the map-specific wonder weapon. Is it unique to that one map? Is it unique to that COD Zombies game, whether it be Black Ops 1 or Black Ops 2? Think about Ancient Evil. Think about 9. Think about these maps where it has a very iconic wonder weapon. I mean, the jet gun didn't last very long, but the jet gun is part of Transit, and you'll never forget that. Liquefier from Die Rise. That map-specific wonder weapon stands out and is burned into our memories forever. Some of these maps that aren't that great don't have a map-specific wonder weapon. Okay, map layout. Now this can feed into whether or not a map is good. Is it laid out well? Is there some sort of map balance? Is there a central location? Where is the pack-a-punch? Where are the perks? Do you have to travel from one side of the map to the other multiple times in a row? When you think about well-balanced maps, I think about something like DE. There are parts of the map that feel smaller, but it's a pretty huge map overall. You can think back to something like Transit, which is ridiculously large. And there's really only one way to get from one side to the other. You can run, but you're going to get attacked by denizens and you're going to have to deal with the lava and the fog. Is it too wide open? Is it too confined? Does the map layout fit with the overall map presentation? And then to get into the next point, it's replayability. Do you want to play this map again? Is there something about this map, whether it be going for high rounds or an Easter egg or getting different characters or character dialogue, what is the reason that you would go back and play this map again? And for me, with some of these Black Ops 2 maps, it was having two sides to the Easter egg. So having the Richtofen and the Maxis side to Buried and to Transit and to Die Rise. There's something within the map that only one character specifically can do, like Stuhlinger. So we're gonna wait until you get Stuhlinger so you can hear all those additional voice lines that you get with when he's talking to Richtofen. This kind of ends up being a bummer and a really limiting factors to some of these old maps, but it's game engine and movement system. And I think that's a criteria for whether or not a map is good. And it's hard to know, if you haven't gone back and played some of these old maps in a while, if a map is good, because you haven't retested the game engine and movement system, which is why I feel like refreshes are necessary every now and then. We have these pictures of these maps in our minds, but when you go back, and honestly, from my experience personally, going back and playing something like Mob of the Dead that I have this just amazing picture of in my mind, and you go back and the game engine is just really clunky, and the movement system is also very clunky, and then the Mob of the Dead layout, it was very limited by that Black Ops 2 experience. So whereas Mob of the Dead is so good from an overarching overall experience, it overcomes some of that game engine and movement system clunkiness. Maps like Die Rise and Transit don't. Set back by the game engine and movement system. And you think back to something like Black Ops 1, where it does have a limited game engine and movement system, but it has good enough maps to where it's able to overcome that. Has it withstood the test of time? And I think I just really mentioned that with the Mob of the Dead. Mob of the Dead, the story is iconic. To have all of those mobster actors in one Call of Duty Zombies game, to have it on Alcatraz, to have that map aesthetic, to have that map dynamic, to have that map have a certain feeling to it. It withstands the test of time and overcomes game engine and movement system clunkiness. But you think about some of these other maps where we loved them at the time, but you go back and play them. I mean, I played Call of the Dead for 2 weeks on stream, and I was just really struck by how limited my experience felt by, one, being on console, but two, how the game engine felt. The fact that you could not see a zombie coming, not have an audio cue, and then be dead. I guess it's zombies, but that's not really that much fun. And if you like that and you think that's fun, then that's great. I don't know if you're being realistic with yourself. Has it withstood the test of time? I think part of the maps with Black Ops 2 overcome and withstand the test of time, and then everything from Black Ops 3 onward is on a good enough game engine and movement system. You're sliding instead of dolphin diving. And honestly, I feel like once they took away dolphin diving, almost everything beyond the point of adding and sliding has withstood the test of time, because that was such a goofy mechanic, not only in multiplayer, but in zombies. So guys, let me know what you think about this. I'm interested to hear what you have to say. What is your criteria for determining whether or not a COD Zombies map is good? Let me know in the comments. And as always, if you guys are interested in this and future COD Zombies content, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. Have a good day, guys.